Hello students. So let's begin with the third and the last part of your module 2 audio recording. So we have just started with the concept of WTO, and as we said, we are going to talk about the four agreements that were signed under the heading of WTO. So the very first one was TRIPS, that is trade related intellectual property rights. The second one that we are going to start with it is all about TRIMS. So the acronym TRIMS stands for Trade Related Investment Measures. So under the heading of WTO, they said that one country or one member nation can easily invest it into another member nation that we have. So USA is also the part of WTO, and Australia is also part of WTO. So they both can invest in each other. So there was a free flow of money, free flow of capital from one country to another country. So let's talk, after understanding the meaning of it, let's talk about the impact of TRIMS on the member nations. So the positive impact is the very first one that we have is the FDI has increased among the member nations of WTO, which lead to the economic development of developing nations. So the way it's the outlook of every country, every member nation that we have. So when they said that free flow of capital, free flow of investment that were allowed, that took the benefited, that took the opportunity by the developed member nations so that they can invest it into the developing countries. So in what way they invested? So that the infrastructure that can be developed or new MNCs that can be started in the other developing countries and all. So this is how the investment or the money started flowing in by the developed country in the developing nations that we have, which lead to the economic development, or even for that matter we can say the overall growth of the developing nations at large. So that was a very positive impact of this agreement, which provided a huge helping hand, huge financial support to the developing nations that we have. Further, FDI was used for expansion and modernization of company, which generated tough competition among the countries. So now it's not only about investing money, but it's also about expanding the existing firms or existing companies that we have. Or in case if we want to utilize or implement or modify some kind of modern equipments, modern technology for the upliftment and the growth of the company, that was also possible because a good amount of investment was received by the developed nations. So if any company wanted to grow, they used to allow, they were allowing the free flow investment, free flow finance from the other developing nations that we have. And lastly, with all this introduction of capital, inflow of capital by other member nations and all, it generated a huge amount or a high consumer welfare into the country. So the consumers were very happy, were very delighted, as they used to get better products, good quality products, and also the variety of products that were available into the market. Apart from that, they were also able to get a good quality products at a very reasonable price, which were affordable and suitable for their pockets. So there were many other positive impact, but as I told you earlier, I'm just sticking to those pointers which you can elaborate it and write it for the long answer into the exams. Further, as every coin has two sides, so this particular agreement had a certain positive impact. It also included some negative impact into it. So what was it? The very first one, we said that the agreement favors the developed nations and developing countries are the sufferers. So when it comes to the question of investment or putting the money or giving the money as a loan, because they are not, we nowhere mentioned that they are doing charity or they are sponsoring anything of it. They were investing, or in short, in a very real terms, they were giving, they were investing means they were giving the money as a loan so that they can get it back at with the interest from the country to whom they have invested, whom they have given the money. So it said that the developed, by why we are talking about it and in what way it is negatively impacted. Um, Developed country had a upper hold, had a strong connect, so that they can invest it into the developing nations. Further, further to that, they also said that developing nations, though on a temporary basis at that point of time, it benefited them for the upliftment, development, growth of the company, growth of the country for that matter. But at the end of the day, they had to return back the money to the company, so to the countries from whom they have taken it. So it is like giving back the principal amount and also the interest to the country who have invested it into it. So it was like a temporary support, temporary help that was provided by the developed country to the developing one. Further, the another negative impact that it had was MNCs interfere in domestic affairs of the country, and they influence the framing of the government policies at large. So when we talk about MNCs, that is multinational companies, lot of interferences, lot of rules and regulations that were set up just because their involvement and their presence was there into the country. And that's the reason why a separate set of rules were had to frame, so that it makes the domestic and the MNCs at par. Further, it also influenced the government policies at large. Apart from TRIPS and TRIMS, the third uh, agreement that was signed under the heading of WTO is GATS. So your GATS stands for General Agreement on Trade in Services. So as we said at the time of introduction itself, the earlier agreement, that was GATT, which was restricted only for the goods that were sold into the international market. But later on, especially since the year 1990 or so, we also started exporting the services to other countries. And therefore, there has to be some more strict rules and regulations which can regulate, which can guide to the services that were exported all over the world. So, with that intention, WTO was introduced, and this particular agreement talks more about the kind of services that can be exported to other countries or imported. Once the export is done, that's import for another country. So, it's all about the import and export with respect to service sector that can happen at global level. Okay, so let's talk or see the positive impact of it. The very first one that we have is developing countries have been benefited due to liberalization of service sector. Needless to say, there were a lot of services or service sector who entered into the developing country. Let's take the example of our own country as India. The BPO sector, which was not at all, we were not knowing what is BPO, but from last 15 to 18 years, if you see, the BPO sector is booming like anything. In fact, the BPO sector is providing a huge amount of job opportunities to youngsters. And that job opportunities will lead to a better lifestyle to the person or to the whole family for that matter. The tourism sector is growing, the insurance sector is growing, the banking sector is growing. So all this is possible just because of the lot of international firms have started entering into the markets, into the developing nations, and started offering a lot of services, lot of uh, services to the consumers that we have. So that's a huge positive impact that can be seen, that can be witnessed by all the consumers, all the citizens of developing nations. Further, the agreement has resulted in improvement in customer services and employment generation. So, employment generation we spoke just now. We cannot forget the contribution of IT sector nowadays, which is growing like anything and which is providing a huge amount of employment and in multiple ways. So needless to say, different service sectors are getting introduced, are expanding, and the employment is getting generated. Further, if you talk from the customer's point of view, customers are also able to get better services or better, what we can say, the better feedback or the thing from the uh, MNC's area as well. So, if given the choice as a public bank, private bank, and an international bank, people may prefer investing their money or getting services from the international banks or international organization. The main reason is their services are intact, and secondly, they are very quick, prompt, and to the point. So there are no delays or no errors that we may face or we may or see or observe at the time of it. So that's the reason why customers are very happy with the kind of services provided by the international firms. Further, yes, increase in competition due to which every firm will try and expand their business activity. So when you have a healthy competition into the market, the other traders will also work hard, will also do a lot of R&D activity so that they expand their business, they come up at par with the other competitors and prove themselves so that they can sustain into the market for a longer period of time. So yes, the higher competition leads to more than high competition. I'll use the word healthy competition can lead to better products and new innovative practices that can be followed by the existing companies into the market. Further, as we said, every coin has two sides. There are certain negative impact also of GATS that we have. The very first one is domestic firms find it very difficult to cope up with the stiff competition due to foreign entrants. Yes. So, competition encourages or urges them to work hard or to come up with something new, but domestic firms try their best to do something new, but it they find it very difficult to cope up with that competition or many a time to stand strong in front of the international firms that they have. So that is a huge negative impact that we have. And another one that we have is foreign exchanges outflowed in the form of dividend, interest, and profits to the investors in the foreign countries. Yes, so many a time when they invest it or when they offer the services to our customers, so directly or indirectly, we talk about giving better services to the customer. Customers are happy, but money is outflowing from our country. Employment is generated, better lifestyle, agreed. But somewhere or the other, when the customers or a lot of customers are attracted by the foreign companies or foreign service providers, uh, the money is outflown from our country. So that is all about the agreement as gaps. The last and a very small agreement that we have is all about AOA, that is Agreement on Agriculture. So this was very important to be introduced so that it will help the developing country at large. Very rarely asked into the exams, but yes, we have to do it as it is a part of your syllabus. So the very first positive impact that we have, it reduces the tariff duties, which will make the products more cheaper, and therefore consumers will get better choice of the farm products. So yeah, as we have said that lower the price, higher will be the demand, and that's the reason why reducing the tariff duties or reducing the taxes that are imposed upon the agricultural products will make the prices of the farm products less, and thus the consumers will try to purchase more often those products. It will also lead to increase in market access. Yes, we will not stick only to one particular country or one market, but we can expand our market, we can widen our market to sell our products. Yeah, then the third positive impact that we may experience is a reduction in domestic support, which will compel the farmers, it's not farmers, it's farmers, to use the modern technology. So yes, many a times the farmers are relied on to the subsidies that are given, that are offered by the government. So if that subsidies is reduced or that support is reduced up to a larger extent, they don't have any other choice but to use the modern technology for their own betterment, their own performance to be improved. So these are the positive impact. What are the negative impact? Increase in market access will lead to selling of poor quality goods. Yes, market access बढ़ रहा है, market बढ़ रहे हैं. But many a times there is a huge question, are we able to fulfill those demands? So many a times when we are not able to fulfill those demands, but we don't even want to lose that opportunity, we try to, we end up selling not that great quality goods to the market or to the seller, or sorry, or to the consumer. So a lot of times when there is a higher demand or higher market for a particular product, it is always said that maybe the quality is deteriorated, or somewhere or the other we have to compromise on to the quality part of it just to fulfill the demand of the consumers. So that might happen when we get a larger access to the market. Further increase in competition where developing nations suffer at large. That we have already spoken more or less, same like the point of GATS. So these were the four agreements, TRIPS, TRIMS, GATS, and AOA, which were signed, which were taken care under the heading of WTO. From the examination point of view, any one agreement, surely it can be asked to you into the exams. So just write 2 to 3 liners of meaning and then explain this positive and negative impact in detail. So that is the third part of this particular module that we have. We started with tariff and non-tariff barriers. Then we did your trading block. Then we did WTO right now. And the last part that we will be talking about is all about your marketing research. So marketing research plays a very, very crucial role because whenever we are entering into a new market, we need to make a thorough study. We need to do a thorough research about the likes and dislikes, the purchasing power, the culture, the standard of living, the competitors that are existing into the market. All this research has to be taken care before we step into that particular market. So if the marketing research is strong enough, you'll be able to survive and sustain into the market for a longer period of time. So with that intention, with that objective, we will talk about what steps that can be adopted to undertake this marketing research. So before understanding the process, this is the meaning of your marketing research. So let's quickly read it out. Marketing research is a systematic method of collecting, recording, analyzing, interpreting, and reporting of data and information pertaining to international market condition. So it's not something that, कैसे भी कर लेंगे, देख लेंगे, पूछ लेंगे. It's not that just for namesake that we are doing. If our marketing research somewhere or the other doesn't go well, the whole efforts that we are going to take later on will, will lead to a failure. So though it is a very crucial step, a very primary step, but all our other steps, whether it has to be a successful or not that very successful, relies on to the research or the aptness of research that we are going to carry it out. So a lot of efforts, seriousness, and understanding and analyzing has to be taken care when we talk about your marketing research process. Okay, so yeah, let's understand what is it. Again, a very favorite question of the university. A lot of times it has been asked to you into the exams for a full-fledged 7.5 marks question that we have. Here we cannot cut short it. सिर्फ कोई भी 7 points लिखो, 8 points लिखो और हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है. Whenever we talk about the process, we talk about the steps, we have to cover all the steps that we have in a sequential manner, and that too from start till end. Okay, so we cannot miss out on any of the point. Maybe 1 or 2 points we can club together, that I will tell you when I am explaining you this particular topic. So let's proceed further. Your whole marketing research process can be divided into 3 parts. That is the pre-research, research, and the post-research. So when you talk about pre-research, it is the preparatory work that you need to do before you undertake the research, before you start your work of researching about the market. So क्या करना पड़ता है? The very first thing is we need to understand the problem, or maybe not necessary every time there will be a problem, but we need to understand the objective of doing the research. So what can be the objective? The very first objective, market is completely new to us. पहली बार हम लोग हमारा product ये market में introduce कर रहे हैं. So I want to know the market. That can be the objective. Not necessary every time there has to be a problem to undertake a research. Many a time to know certain things, many a time to explore something new, the research can also be undertaken. Okay, that is one thing. Secondly, agar problem hota hai to kya ho, what can be the problem? Suppose if I am already selling my particular product from last 10 years in USA. So all of a sudden, after 10 years, now in the year 2022, the market has started the sales have started declining. Every year, I used to sell approximately around 40 to 45,000 units of a particular product. Now it has started declining slowly and steadily. So that can be the problem. You're getting? So either there has to be some problem to undertake this research, or you need to be new to the market, or your product needs to be new to the market. Same thing. Thus, I'm here in the market for last 10 years, but now I want to introduce some new product into the market. So I need to undertake the research whether my new product will be liked by the consumers or not. You're getting? So we need to identify the very first thing. For what reason are we conducting this research? We need to know that. Then we need to make some preliminary investigation. That is, you talk about knowing the competitors. Suppose, let us take the example of I want to introduce maybe the wooden toys. The India has been making a lot of promotional activities and exhibitions about the Indian wooden toys, and so I want to understand how well it will go in the market of USA. That is what I want to know. So the very first thing, I will start investigating, like what kind of toys are highly demanded in the USA market. Who all are the competitors? I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just observing. I'm just seeing. I'm reading, and I'm keeping myself ready. Okay? So that is what is okay. Even for that matter, before understanding all this, what is the population of the age group? Also, I need to know, right? Because if I'm targeting, my toys are targeting somewhere at the age of 3 to 8. So what is the population, or how many number of children are in the age group of 3 to 8? That is what I need to know. So all these things I will take care. All these things I will investigate before I enter into the, or I start undertaking the research. Okay, so that is what is all about preliminary investigation. Further, that we have is determining the data needs and determining the data sources. What kind of data that we'll be needing it? So we understood that yes, we need to know about the children and what kind of toys that they play with. How often do they play, or they are glued to the PlayStation or other digital mode of or technology related games, or what? All this data I need to capture beforehand. And what are the sources? So what are the sources? I can talk to their mothers. I can talk to the play groups that they have. So these are the areas, these are the sources from where I can get a good amount of data I need to prepare with it. So here, if you want this to are very small pointers, so you can club them together and make a one point. So data, determine data needs and sources. That is how you can name it. Later on, create a research design. Okay. So what do we mean by research design? Research design is a blueprint of your research. What is blueprint? It is the outline of your research. That means stepwise. See, it's not that throughout the life you're going to do the research. You need to be time bound. So you know that maybe for next 2 months, I need to complete my research. So I'll take 2 weeks to investigate and to talk to people, to talk to the competitors and all, and 2 weeks to frame the other questionnaire and other stuff. Then another 2 3 weeks to collect the data, to talk to mothers, talk to play groups. So all these things needs to be framed in stepwise. And even to go one more step ahead, you can also identify that yes, this 5 play groups I'm going to talk to, this 100 mothers, maybe not name wise, but yes, 100 mothers that I'm going to talk to, this maybe 100 students or 100 children that I can just talk to get a rough idea about it. They may not talk that logically or that maturely, but yes, there, or maybe I'll observe. If not talk, I can at least observe what kind of toys fascinate them, or whether the color really attracts them to come forward and play with the toys or not. Just a minute. Yeah. So all these things, whatever I'm going to observe, whatever I'm going to ask, all this I am going to frame a timetable kind of a thing, and I'm going to make a research design. So that is what I need to do, a preparatory work or homework before I undertake the research. Further, when I talk about research, we talk about the very first thing is designing a questionnaire. I need to prepare a set of questions that I'm going to ask to playgroup people or to mothers, or maybe what I'm going to observe about the children. So there are different type of questionnaires, but I'm going to keep it very simple and not too many questions, maybe around 8 to 10 questions I can frame, so that I can have that standardized format, standardized way to evaluate. I just cannot have the informal talks. हम लोग informal talks भी करेंगे, but we need to have a standardized way to check and to connect and to collect all the data in a same manner. So I need to frame that standardized questionnaire in a very, either in a Google form or in a hard copy, and then I need to start targeting the sample of respondents. So if suppose there are around 20 lakhs children who fall under the category of age 3 to age 8. Obviously, I'm not going to go and talk to all those 20 lakh people that we have, 20 lakh children that we have. So I may shortlist, or I may just say that I'll talk only to 5,000 children that we have, or somewhere or the other there are ways, techniques to uh, identify only a particular respondents, or a particular percentage of respondents from whom I can collect the data on behalf of all the children. So that is what I can be, that are the samples that I can collect it. And then I need to collect the data. I need to organize the data. Organize in what way? Maybe depending upon their age, depending upon their gender, depending upon their area, depending upon their age group. There are different ways how the data can be organized. And luckily we have Excel, so that our work can be done very quickly, very easily, and in a very different combinations where we can have the data ready with us. And then we can analyze it. So we talk about how many people spend money for the toys, or how many children like jazzy colors, or they are behind a digital mode of toys. So this is how the data can be analyzed, it, interpreted it, and then we can come to the in the interpretation itself. We need to also mention about the suggestions, whether the market is correct, or whether we can sell our wooden toys into the market or not. that has to be analyzed, that has to be understood it. And if yes, if you feel after doing research that yes, the USA has a market for wooden toys, you need to also specify that what kind of wooden toys may go well. So they are very much fascinated with the cars, or maybe even for that, block games that we have, which can give them a lot of training, or a lot of logical reasoning to their brains. So all such games are highly demanded by those citizens. So, or maybe parents encourage them to play with such games, so that it will help them to work their brain more faster or so. That is how the data has to be analyzed it, and some suggestions are to be given. Further, all the thing that we have done has to be compiled together, and a report must be prepared, and the same report has to be presented in front of the officials, or the superiors that we have, so that we can take a call whether we really need to go ahead with this particular market or not. And last but not the least, which is again a very crucial part of it, uh, just by identifying the market and introducing the product, that does not mean that we have won the battle. We need to also take a proper follow up, proper feedback, whether whatever research that we have done was apt or not, was suitable or not, because there can be chances that whatever that we have collected might have changed later till the time we actually enter into the market, or maybe whatever that they have suggested, whatever that they have given it to us, might whatever that they have told to us might not have the correct information for that matter, so that is how the research market research process might vary at times, not always, but at times. That is what is how the process can be undertaken. So I'm sure you are very clear with it, because this is something which is very important from your examination point of view. Further, we go and understand why is it important to undertake this marketing research. It's very easy, partially we have already spoken about it, but still let me quickly glance through it. Not always, rare cases may this particular topic has been asked to you into the exams. So the very first need, the very first reason to undertake the marketing research is to understand the needs and wants of the consumers. What do consumers want? Because it changes very often, so we need to know what are their needs, what are their wants. Further, what kind of promotional campaign, if we conduct, if we do, that will help us to attract a lot of people for our product. See, not necessary every time whatever that we are promoting, the way we are promoting, the advertising will surely go well. So we need to understand what kind of campaign that we need to adopt, what kind of strategy that we need to undertake, so that the consumers are attracted to our product and purchase it. We need to know what are the competitive advantage. We need to make a thorough study, thorough research of our competitors, and then we need to think what we can do to you know to come up with better products, with a better services than our competitors. That is what is all about your competitive advantage. Further, appropriate pricing decisions. Yes, we need to know that what prices that we need to frame. Because tomorrow, if we frame a particular price and they are not suitable or they are not liking it, again, we will have to face the consequences. And a lot of factors, a lot of consumers are uh, relying onto the prices of the product, or their decisions rely onto the prices of the product that have been quoted by the seller. Further, that we have is forecasting the sales. Yes, once when you do a good research, it will help the seller to forecast what kind of sales, or how much sales that can be expected or that can happen by the how much sales that can happen in the near future, and accordingly the production activity can be carried out. So that is a role, again a very important and a very crucial role that can be played or that can be understood while conducting the marketing research. Again, packaging design, yes, what design, what colors, what ingredients that can be liked by the consumers, what can be attracted by them, also needs to be taken care, also needs to be analyzed and researched at the time of marketing research. Further, determining the position of the product, yes, where our product is standing. I'm sure you would have come across a lot of what is it? You would have come across a lot of advertisements and very small surveys where they try to understand whether you have heard about their product name or not. So they in on YouTube only many a times they ask which advertisement you have recently seen, and then they give the option of Surf Excel, Ariel, Tide, Wheel, and you click on whichever that comes to your mind. It's maybe you may not even know that which you have seen recently, but something that very uh, promptly clicks or you promptly come to know comes to into your brain, that you quickly try to write it or try to click it and finish the survey. So that is how we talk about understanding our position in the mindset of the consumers. And lastly that we have is effectiveness of channel distribution. How far our channel distribution, you talk about direct or indirect, how far it is effective, how far it is successful, that also we need to know it. So that is how these are the certain needs and importance of marketing research that we need to know, while conducting the research. Yeah, the last one, what all are the determinants, what all are the factors that we need to consider before selecting a particular market? So it's a whole world that we have in front of us. You talk about Australia, UK, USA, Russia, Argentina, Brazil, Canada. But out of all those countries, or so many countries, I need to select only one or maybe two, three. None of the traders, no matter how much rich that you all are, we cannot enter in every market at the same time. So we need to decide where we need to start with it. First I can start with UK, then to Australia, then to Russia, then to South Africa, and many other countries. So on what basis that I'll decide that first I need to go to USA, then to UK? So these all are the factors, these all are the determinants that we need to keep it in our mind before selecting our market. So the very first thing that we need to think, that we need to see, is the part of your competition. How much competition is already there into that market, that has to be checked, that has to be taken care. Higher the competition, higher is the risk. So if you know beforehand, yes, there is a huge competition in so and so market, better not to enter into that market. Whichever market offers you the monopoly, in whichever market you feel there are, or maybe a few seller for that matter, it is always better to go ahead with that market. So that is what is all about the determinant as a competition that can be considered while entering into a particular market. Very, very important. The second factor, second determinant is all about the customers. Whether the customers are in favor of your product or not. See, even tomorrow, if there is less competition or no competition, but the customers are not in favor of your product, customers don't want to purchase your product, then it's of no use entering into that particular market. So we need to know the choices, the taste, and our position in front of the customers very well. And then only we'll be able to will be able to what we say realize whether it's a right time or a right market for us or not. So competition and customer, both of them play a very equally important role. Further distribution of network, how far we are going to distribute and what way that we are going to distribute our product into their market, whether we are going to directly sell or do we have intermediaries, do we have wholesalers, retailers, in what way that we are going to distribute our product into their market, that has to be taken care of it. Preferential treatment, yes. Do we have any kind of preferential agreements beforehand? You talk about SARC, that is what is SAPTA, we have already spoken about it. So that is what is a preferential treatment. Preferential means the first priority, the first treatment that can be given to us since we are there from the same group. That is what is all about the preferential treatment as a determinant, as a factor that can be selected while finalizing the market for our product. Further, yeah, import regulations, we need to check it beforehand. What rules and regulations that have been let down by the importer's country, and then accordingly the call can be taken care. Then we have market feasibility, whether the market is feasible for a product or not. So something like, you try to sell umbrellas in a particular country where there is no rain, market is completely not feasible for our product. Yes, but obviously we have to, then there we need to change our promotional strategy. Instead of saying that, yeah, umbrellas are used for rainy seasons, we need to divert and we need to say that umbrellas can also be used for protecting ourselves from sunstroke, or from the harmful UV rays that have been spread via sun. So this is how somewhere we have to modify our promotional techniques. That is what is all about. The feasibility of the market for the product that has to be changed. Then we have soundness of the economy. Why the economy comes into the picture? Because of the purchasing ability. So many a times customers are happy with our product. We have a strong distribution channel, good rules and regulations, suitable regulations, not much competition, but the consumers are not ready to pay the higher price. They like your product, they need your product, but somewhere or the other, if your product does not suit the pocket of the consumers, again, that will be a huge obstacle, huge hurdle for you to survive into that market. So we need to see it very well, what is the purchasing power, what is the purchasing capacity of the customers, and then accordingly we can quote that particular price. And lastly, that we have is all about the size of the market, because many a times higher the size, higher could be the demand. I'm not saying always it happens, but yes, higher the size of the market, higher could be the demand, and thus we need to also check whether we are in a position to fulfill that demand or not, and then accordingly we can take the steps. So these factors, these determinants are to be checked beforehand or before we take a call to enter into a particular market. So these determinants can be considered while selecting a market for our product. So that is all about your marketing research, and that's all about your module 2 as well. So just to have a quick briefer, what did we do in your module 2? We started with trade barrier and we did a tariff and non-tariff barriers into it. We also did the impact of trade barriers. Then we spoke about trading block, where we spoke about the 4 trading blocks that we have. We talk about SARC, NAFTA, Asian, and EU. We also studied the impact of trading block on global economy or on the global trade. Further, we spoke about WTO, that is World Trade Organization, and we spoke about 4 agreements that were signed under the heading of WTO. You talk about TRIPS, that is Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights. The second agreement was TRIMS, Trade Related Investment Measures. Third agreement was GATS, that is General Agreement on Trade and Services. And fourth one is AOA, that is Agreement on Agriculture. So these were the 4 agreements that were signed under the heading of WTO. And lastly, we spoke about the marketing research that we need to do to understand the market well and to decide in which market that we actually need to enter into. So that was all about your module 2. Very soon we will meet up with your module 3, which talks all about your FTP 2015-20. That is Foreign Trade Policy 2015-20 and other terminologies and other areas of your foreign trade policy. So that is all about module 2. We'll soon meet for your module 3. Till then, thank you and bye bye.